Hello, Manic.mercurian here with your solar return reading. This reading will be for, well, technically the chart itself will be for Monday, August 22nd, 2022 at 12:20 a.m. in Oakland, California. And this is based off of the information you provided me, your birth information, which was August 22nd, 1991, 12:17 p.m. in Oakland, California. So happy birthday, by the way. I'm glad I could get this out by your birthday to see how this next year will be for you. And for anyone else watching, because I will be posting this publicly, if you're interested in getting a reading like this or a different type of reading, you can go to my website for more information on all the readings I provide. That would be www.manic.mercurian.net. Or you can also just email me if you'd like. That works as well. It's manic.mercurian@gmail.com. All of that information is in the description box below. But for any of you who may not be familiar with what a solar return is, basically a solar return chart like this one shows the exact moment that the sun returns to someone's to where the sun was at someone's birth, basically. So for this person, they had sun at 29 degrees Leo. Looks like 29 degrees and 12 minutes of Leo. So that exact point, that's what this chart is. So we won't get a lot of information from, that point of where the sun is because of course that's what the whole chart is. It's always going to be at that point for every solar return. So we're not getting a lot of meaning from that. But what we can get meaning from is the house of the sun, the aspects that the sun makes, and then also any, where were the other planets? What's the rest of the chart look like basically? And I would say that for these charts, you'll typically start to experience this chart and the themes going on here up to a month or 2 months before your actual solar return, before your birthday, and then of course it will last for the duration of the year following your birthday. Um, let's see, and then this chart, the solar return charts will always be either on your birthday or possibly a day before or after. So it looks like in this case, this chart has just passed at the time of my making this just last night. Okay, but yeah, I think I covered all the kind of background stuff. So let's get into this chart here. So you have Sun, of course, in Leo, just like always, but then Moon is in Cancer, and you have Gemini Rising. So the first thing I kind of notice is the Gemini Rising. Having Ascendant in a mutable sign, especially Gemini though, really indicates a lot of change happening for you this year. So some years are more just about, being stable, continuing your routine and such. Obviously other years a lot more changes. So this year there's gonna be a lot of change, a lot of endings, a lot of beginnings. I don't know exactly what that change is, but we can look further into the chart here to kind of get some hints of that maybe. Um, but Gemini Rising definitely signifies a lot of change. It also signifies an intellectual focus. And this becomes stronger when we look at the chart ruler. So the chart ruler, the planet ruling the Gemini Rising, is Mercury, which is exalted in Virgo. And it's in the fifth house. So so this shows some very strong intellectual energy this year. Maybe you're focusing on learning or teaching this year, something having to do with information and organizing. We're combining the Gemini Rising with Virgo Mercury here. So you're learning a lot. You're delving into maybe some deep information of some sort, learning about different things, teaching, reading, writing, organizing, analyzing. All these things are concurrent with like heavy Mercury energy. So there's definitely that focus there. But this also is a really strong thing to have. The chart ruler is exalted, so this shows like a generally very strong year, especially intellectually, but also just in general. So that's a good thing to have. The thing I would next kind of focus on is there is a kind of heavy lunar or fourth house influence. So Moon is in Cancer. Moon is in domicile in Cancer, so Moon is very strong as well. Actually, now that I think about it, you have Moon, Sun, and Mercury all in domicile or exaltation, or both with Mercury. So a lot of these inner planets are in very strong places for you this year. So that just shows that you would feel, kind of comfortable in your skin, so to speak, this year. Like, how you feel about things, where you stand. Emotionally, how you feel with Moon in domicile in Cancer, and then intellectually, your intellect is very strong this year, with all the heavy Mercury influence. And then your ego is strong with the Leo Sun, but you kind of always have that being a Leo Sun. Um, but yeah, so with Moon in Cancer, something I've noticed with Moon in Cancer in solar returns is that it's a little bit of a contradiction because Cancer energies make friends very easily, but they also spend a lot of time alone. They can be homebodies, they can be kind of loners, but on the other side of things, they love connecting with people. They can make friends very easily. So to be honest, I would expect a lot of both. Maybe you'd make a lot of new connections this year pretty easily, but also spend a lot of time alone as well. So it's kind of a mix there. But that's something I've definitely noticed with these heavy Cancer and Moon energies. Sun in the fourth house as well is showing that your energy, the Sun representing your kind of energy and vitality, is in the fourth house of home. So you may be more of a homebody this year, spending more time at home, more comfortable in your home. I don't know. I haven't looked at your birth chart, so I don't know if that's, if you're normally like that, if you're normally more comfortable at home or not. But having Sun in the fourth house, and then especially with Moon in Cancer for this chart, definitely shows maybe maybe spending more time at home, maybe spending time at home learning about things, since with the heavy Mercury energy, something like that. However, on the flip side, if we go to your 10th house, you have Saturn in your 10th house. So, um, I find this interesting, and it's pretty close to your midheaven. Saturn's also in domicile this year in Aquarius. But having Saturn in your 10th house of career and public image, it can bring some like delays there. So, things that you are working on this year with your career, or your job, or whatever kind of main projects you're putting out there into the world may be delayed. Like you have to be extra thorough with them this year. And I feel like, I don't even, it's not even something that you need to be told necessarily. Like you will know this. Like if you try to, rush things, it just won't work. You have no choice but to be thorough with what you're executing at work. Um, so Saturn can bring delays there, but Saturn can also, you can be very successful with this energy. It's just that you have to really do everything yourself, kind of. It's like, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself. That's I think something that would be very relevant with Saturn in your 10th house. You can definitely be very successful, but it's like you have to really work for it. No one's gonna just uh, be super generous and just give you something, give you your success in your area of work this year. It's like you really have to work maybe a little bit extra hard and be thorough. Um, you have to be very deserving and maybe extra responsible too. Saturn's energy can be that of an authority figure, so you may be taking on more weight at work or more responsibility, maybe like a leadership role. Because with Saturn in the 10th house, you are seen as Saturnian. So you are seen as having Saturn energy. So what that means is people see you as maybe more serious, but also more authoritative or responsible. You come across, maybe kind of like stoic or, um, and that can come across in different ways. But yeah, people may see you as more of like a leader in some way. Um, and again, I think there's challenges that come with that. There's a lot of responsibility, but it can also be rewarding. It can be rewarding. It's just not, it's not a fun energy. It's like, you can find success, but it's success that you've really worked hard for and really earned. You know what I mean? So that's kind of characterizing your work life this year. Saturn's also retrograde. This can indicate time off from work. So you may have like an extra long vacation this year or some kind of time off, or I'm not sure. That can come to us in a lot of ways. But Saturn retrograde in a solar return chart can indicate some kind of time away from work, maybe time in between jobs. I don't know what the circumstances are, but extra time away from work this year is a possibility. And I've noticed that this may not apply. It could apply to the whole year or to a big part of the year where you're spending more time away from work. It could also just be like one extended vacation or something like that. So I don't know the circumstances, but that is definitely a probability there. What else here? You have South Node in the sixth house, so this could indicate maybe working a lot. And I know that's contradictory, but both can definitely be true. You can work more than usual this year, but also spend more time away from work this year. I know that sounds contradictory, but both things can be true. So South Node in sixth house. It could also indicate you're spending more time focusing on your health, maybe also spending more time helping other people, being of service to others. And then 12th house, North Node is in the 12th house, so that's indicating, extra, good fortune if you do delve into like spirituality, metaphysics, meditation, things like that. Anything like that where you're kind of escaping reality, but in sort of healthy ways, or exploring a more like non-physical side or spiritual side to reality. Anything like that would be kind of very, very key for your evolution this year. And let's kind of jump around. I like to keep these things brief because I found if you get really specific into solar return charts, they start to become less accurate. The main things I pay attention to are the ascendant and the moon, as well as some other things. But the ascendant and the moon by far represent your year more than anything else. So I just want to stress that. So the things I talked about at the beginning will be the most dominant themes: the intellectual focus, the lots of change this year, and then also you may be more sentimental with the heavy moon, heavy Cancer, fourth house energies. More sentimental, time alone, but also making friends easily, connecting with new people easily as well. And speaking of that, let's go off of that kind of note here. So in your 11th house, you do have Jupiter and Neptune, so that's sort of interesting. It's been interesting that they've been in the same place for a while now. Okay, so Jupiter in your 11th house would indicate you're connecting with people in your community very easily. People that you just kind of meet on the street, or it could be at work or something. In a very public arena, you are connecting with people very easily, and maybe connecting with a lot of people. That's what Jupiter in the 11th house would indicate. Neptune in the 11th house would indicate that there's something mysterious or inexplicable about this, so people just kind of come or they go for seemingly no reason in your life. And this again, it's more of a kind of, this is like networking. So not necessarily like really close friends or in your personal life. This is more in a public arena, if that makes sense. So people in that kind of area of your life may just kind of come and go out of nowhere. Lots of people coming, lots of people going, um, that kind of thing. I don't know if that makes sense at all. But let's see, and then you have Mars in 12th house Gemini. Um, so I think this shows that you are extra ambitious with intellectual pursuits. Mars is ruled by Gemini, or excuse me, it's in Gemini, so it's ruled by Mercury. So again, it falls under this kind of like intellectual theme of this year, I guess, or dominance of intellectual energy. But Mars in Gemini, that shows that your ambitions, your drive, what drives you this year is all kind of intellectually focused. You're focused on intellectual stimulation, learning. That's not only kind of just how you're feeling, it's just what you're experiencing, but it's also what your goals are, what your plans, your intentions. They're all kind of centered around academia, learning, education, something of that nature. Um, and let's see. I love that you have Venus very close to your IC in Leo. Venus is pretty well in Leo. It's pretty strong energy, I would say, and then it's very close to your IC. So this little black triangle right next to Venus at the kind of near the base of the chart, it represents your home life, your foundation, your kind of core identity, or your baseline, so to speak. So having Venus right there, it shows there's abundance, there's pleasure and desire that comes with Venus. So your abundance, pleasure, desire is at home kind of. And we already talked about how there's other indicators in your chart showing you'd spend more time at home this year. But yeah, Venus there, that shows that's where your pleasure is, that's where your abundance is. Um, let's see, and Venus is in the third house of friends and siblings as well. So maybe you're extra desiring maybe time spent with friends or siblings if you have any, that type of thing. Let's see. Or time spent with siblings would be extra pleasurable for you this year. Let's see, and then I'm just kind of checking because honestly, I think I've covered most of everything, but I want to make sure here. Um, Uranus is close to the North Node in the 12th house, so that could indicate sudden breakthroughs, especially spiritually. So sudden revelations for you this year, or sudden perception shifts with metaphysics, or maybe this is part of your learning. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're learning about this year with this heavy intellectual focus, but that could be part of it. Some kind of spiritual shifts or awakenings, or just suddenly realizing these truths, some kind of truth here. Um, and interestingly, you also have Pluto in the ninth house, so that could also indicate sudden breakthroughs with higher learning as well. Ninth house rules higher learning. Pluto represents like some kind of transformation or evolution, kind of going deep within yourself to change yourself on a really deep instinctual level, like in your DNA or something. So yeah, that could also indicate some kind of transformation with higher learning as well. It does really seem like there's this huge focus on learning for you, and on your home. Those are by far the two most dominant themes I've noticed here. Um, so I think I covered most of everything that I want to cover. Um, Midheaven is in Aquarius, so you're you're seen like Aquarius this year in your work and in public. You could be seen as maybe a little bit ambivalent at times, but also kind of stoic. And this falls under the Saturn influence here. Your midheaven is ruled by Saturn, so again you're seen as strong, stoic, maybe emotionless, but authoritative. You're seen as respectable, if that makes sense for you this year. So all in all, this looks like a nice chart. I mean, there are a lot of energies in domicile, so it looks like a fairly easy year, or at least you'll at least always know where you stand. So you have that kind of like clarity this year. You know how you feel. You know where you're going this year. Even if there are challenges, I think there's at least not any kind of confusion. The only confusion or uncertainty that I would see maybe in your like networking with Neptune in your 11th house. Maybe just kind of confusing how people come and go in that area of your life. But other than that, it looks like a pretty like certain year. Things at least make sense for you. So that's what I see. But if you do have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'm always happy to follow up and explain anything that I may have not articulated clearly enough, or if you want any further information on anything, I'd be happy to share that as well. But thank you for this opportunity to read your chart, and I hope you have a great birthday and a great rest of your year.